Mike Davey, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear it now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Michael Davey is on he is of the ears.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have 6:32. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First time that I don't think you did.
We have a recording device up at the dais for the purposes of taking meeting minutes. We're also streaming live, and the meeting will be recorded on our YouTube channel. Prior to this session, we did have an executive session to talk about legal matters. And so I just wanted to give a little bit of introduction, I think, on how the evening is going to go. In a moment, I'm going to kick it over to our solicitor, Mike Madron, who's going to explain a little bit of the history and landscape and the responsibility of the Board of Supervisors through this meeting. We're going to have a presentation by the developers. There's going to be an opportunity for Bethel Township residents questions, and then we'll follow it up with non-Bethel resident questions. And then we're looking to follow that up with Bethel Township comments, and then any comments from folks outside of Bethel. So just be mindful of trying to keep your timing concise. And if somebody's already asked a question, then, if you don't need to say that again. And if you could save your comments till the end, that'd be great. Is that fair to say, Mike?
I think you've done a great job so far. Are you ready for me? Sure. Okay. My red light's on. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Madron. I'm the solicitor here in Bethel Township. And I just want to give everybody a little bit of background and talk a little bit about how this evening's going to go, probably, just in slightly more detail than Chairman Denny just did. So in Pennsylvania, we're required to have every property zoned for a particular use. Prior to anyone here being on the board, this property was zoned R4. And R4 allows for apartments, it allows for townhomes, it allows for quads. It's our most dense residential district. As many of you know, there was a plan approved by Bethel Township back in 2008 for townhomes on this property with some contingencies, and that plan ended up not going forward. Eventually, it was purchased by this developer who put a plan before us, I guess a year or two ago initially, and it went through the process, and the township ended up denying the application. One of the primary reasons for that denial is that there was a long period of time where there weren't subsequent revised sealed engineered plans submitted. We also had some concerns about riparian buffers, about access, and that sort of thing. So the developer appealed, and that appeal still is still pending. Tonight, they've come voluntarily to present a proposed plan to resolve the appeal. The plan contains 40 single-family homes. The land would be in common ownership, and it would be opposed to, the more dense versions that you've seen. An important bit of information that I'm sure they'll go into more detail on is that there were some streams on the property that were a concern during our planning process that have been determined to be ephemeral. And what that means, ephemeral. Yeah, I had to look it up. But what that means basically is that they're not real streams. They just become streams basically in a rain event. And the Department of Environmental Protection has determined that those are ephemeral streams, which means that our riparian buffer requirements that we thought applied from those areas do not apply any longer, which would allow for even more density on this property by right. So I'm going to let them talk about that a little bit more, but what we believe is that a by right plan could probably get 60 townhomes into this property at this point. The plan being presented tonight is for 40 singles. 41, I'm sorry. We understand that there are issues with the access from Delaware. But like I said, in Pennsylvania, we're required to have these properties, every property zoned for a particular use. We can't just say, well, go figure out Delaware, and we're not going to act until you do. Our municipality's planning code says that you can condition on that. So we can make it a condition, but we can't, say no until, basically. So I think that's an overview of where we sit right now. As Chairman Denny said, we're going to hear a presentation from the developer. We understand that there's a lot of emotion around this project, that a lot of people have significant concerns about the project. We're going to ask you to exercise decorum anyhow. Screaming, hollering, profanity, talking over people, please try to avoid that. Again, these guys don't have to be here. If they decide they want to leave, there's not really much we could do about it. They're here voluntarily to try to present to folks what they would like to do there. And I think with that, am I missing anything, Matt? Okay, with that, over to you.
My name is,
Oh, I did want to say one more thing. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Thank you for the reminder. Sorry, John. I did want to mention to everyone that because there's litigation pending, I've advised our board not to comment this evening. There will be no action this evening. This was not advertised as a voting meeting. There can't be a vote. So if you came concerned that something is going to happen tonight, it's not.
thank you. My name is John Snyder. I'm an attorney with Saul Ewing. I represent the applicant, have in this process all along. As Mike indicated, this is a settlement proposal on a case that is under appeal. And under the laws in Pennsylvania, the decisions in Pennsylvania, municipalities have the authority to settle cases, to approve a different plan as a part of a settlement. And while we filed our brief back in 2024, the township has not yet filed its brief, and we've had these discussions. The idea being that if we're going to reach a settlement, we may as well do it before the township spends money and time and more in the litigation. So we've had those discussions for a while. As was indicated by Mike, the applicant in the interim determined to review the existing, what's called a jurisdictional determination. It's a determination of wetlands and streams on the property. The consultants and the DEP, the Army Corps were all involved, and a revised JD, which sets all the wetlands on the property, was approved, and the determination of those streams that could then be piped was made. The applicant obtained the approvals from DEP a while ago to, in essence, pipe 3 drainage channels that come into the property that are all in just that, drainage channels. So with that approval to pipe those drainage channels, we had more flexibility in the site, and we're able to propose a lower density but single family type development, which would then also improve values of the homes in there. And we've had the discussions with the township over a plan for that type of process. We've gone through some drafts of it and so forth. But I thought what I would provide you tonight, and I must say, we're not done. I mean, we're still negotiating what would be the final terms of a settlement with the Board of Supervisors. So the guidelines I'm giving you tonight are that which is the most current plan. There are still some issues that we're going through. So I'm not saying that this is where it will finally end or not finally end. That'll be part of the continuing discussions. As was stated, instead of 46 townhouses or maybe 55 to 60 townhouses with the new piping. And by the way, the piping prevents the need for the roadway waiver that was part of the townhouse plan, because we are no longer as confined as we were. What you see now, if we turned it to townhouses, would not need any waivers. The method of ownership here would be condominium. A buyer would own the brown unit footprint, would have limited common area of his own driveway and walkway, but absolutely everything else in the site, the access ways, all of the area that's green, would be owned by the condominium association, would be managed by the condominium association, and funded by the individual owners as condominium unit owners. The drives that you see on that plan are 32 feet wide. They're private. They're in essence driveways, not streets. There are 4-foot sidewalks in the area that are shown on the plan that have been the discussion of where they're appropriate. We have guest parking on there. We have a cluster mailbox area, and we have a school bus stop. One of the requests from that was made in the negotiations was that the units be at least 16 feet apart, and all of those units as shown on there are at least 16 feet apart. The driveways are at least 20 feet deep from the sidewalk or the, if there's a sidewalk, or the driveway at the circulation drive if there's not a sidewalk on that side. And many of them are longer than that. The driveway or the circulation roads are within what it will be a 42-foot wide utility easement. So all the utilities will run through those portions of the property. One of the issues that was raised was exterior lighting. No exterior street lighting is proposed, and a restriction that any unit lighting would have to be shielded down lighting so that there won't be street lights out at any of these intersections or the cul-de-sacs that you see or anything like that. Each unit is going to have a deck, and you see the darker brown little squares as a part of their unit. Those decks won't be extendable except for a few units that there'll be notes on the property that are located in places which would accommodate an extension, but that extension would require the approval of the condominium association. There'll be no encroachments on the Colonial Pipeline easement unless something's proposed that Colonial approves in writing. The wetlands and the buffers are shown on that site. This is one thing that has always been an issue of misunderstanding, as I would say it. We're not touching the wetlands. Yes, utilities will run through a small portion on their way in, but that will then be restored, and there are no units, roads, development, anything like that within the wetlands on this property. The 25-foot buffers from the wetlands and the streams are shown, and they're not being encroached upon. Yes, they will be mildly disturbed at times of development, but they will be restored and they will all be revegetated, which they aren't now. With respect to stormwater on the site, we will be applying the Township Chapter 384. The only difference will be that the grandfathered 25-foot riparian buffers will apply. And this is a property, excuse me, where the stormwater flows into the property from the south and the east and flows out to the west. Now that's the Rotherfield side, and we understand that. And one of the commitments that we've made and the plans that have been designed so far confirm our compliance with is that the rate of flow after development, so that's with everything built in there off the property toward Rotherfield, will be less than 40% of the current pre-development rate of runoff. So you're getting an amazing improvement of the runoff. And that applies to everything from a 1-year storm to a 100-year storm. That stormwater management has been provided.
40% less.
No, 60% less, 40% of, and less than 40% of. It's by the time you get to the 100-year storm, my recollection is it's 28%. So, and those stormwater studies have been provided, and will be reviewed by the township to confirm that if that's a requirement of the settlement, that we're meeting it. The plan shows some of the landscaping. I don't see, are the street trees on there, John?
No.
No, everything but the street trees are on there. And I guess the WIP planning for the riparian buffer areas is not, oh, the dots are on there? Okay, I'm having trouble seeing it from here. We understand that from the standpoint of our neighbors, that we need to address in particular the areas that are those cul-de-sacs and make sure that they are sufficiently screened at the end to prevent headlight interference into the Rotherfield properties. We're not planning on taking down the trees along the edge of the property. They'll remain. We are planning along the Rotherfield side to provide an option, which will be up to those residents. The basic provision along there will include a 6-foot stockade fence, and that will be on our property and maintained by the homeowners association. Each of the neighbors there who, if they would desire instead to have additional plantings on their property, instead of a fence on ours, the Rutherfield people, we would provide that as an option for each one to elect whether to accept those additional plantings, which would have 2-year guarantees on. Obviously, we're still talking public water, public sewer, and we're still talking the fact that the fees that Baker didn't pay back in 2012, that we will pay them to the township for Baker once we get approval. We'll also be paying the $188,000 of recreation impact fee on a house-by-house basis. The last main item of settlement is the Delaware road access situation. We believe we have the absolute right to access through Delaware.
Delaware, this has gone back to 2011, Delaware has denied this over and over.
So a couple of things I want to say. One is, we need all comments to be from the podium, just because the supervisor who's on Zoom can't hear him without the microphone. Second is, if you could just, I understand that everybody really wants to say their piece, but if you could just hold so that we can have, we're taking minutes here, and we need some orderly process here.
The only thing I can say tonight with respect to Delaware is there is an existing declaratory judgment action in the state of Delaware for a court determination of our right to access through Lot 3, which is the bottom part of the green, to use the East Fulton and Owensby and State Line roads, and to make improvements to those roads to widen them as appropriate. We are confident that we will succeed in that. And therefore, it's right now a court situation in Delaware, not an administrative situation in Delaware. Any draft settlement agreement does not have language that's agreed to on that yet, because we quite frankly haven't discussed it between me and the solicitor yet, and that will happen as we go forward. And we will obtain a mutually agreeable language, but the answer is both Bethel and the applicant desire to have those improvements done, and we're moving to get them approved as the court will determine. So from the end of it, basically, most settlement situations in court cases, both sides walk away thinking, geez, did we give up too much? I think in this case, because of the nature of the plan, the value and the lesser houses, that this is actually a settlement that benefits both sides. And we've been proceeding that way. I think the township's been proceeding that way. And so they're here asking for your comments. If you have any questions to me as you go along, I'll be happy to try and answer them. And I think that's all I have as a prepared.
So we're going to do questions first, first from Bethel residents. I'm going to go up and grab my water bottle before anybody comes up. So if you could just come up to the podium, ask your questions so that Supervisor David can hear you on Zoom and direct your questions to the developer.
It may make sense for you to sit here if that's fine there. Okay, just going back and forth. Sure.
Hello. I own a townhome in the Trottersley development. My concern.
We have your name and address.
Should I do that?
You need to do that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Lynn Bike, 126 Trottersley Lane. And the concern that I thank you for your diagram tonight, but our concern is exactly what is going to be happening on State Line Road as far as widening. You say it's an improvement, we lose ground. What's going to happen? Are the trees going to be cut down? How many vehicles will you be allowing to go back and forth on State Line Road to conduct any type of plan? Like, this is nice, but how are you getting to that? And that's what I don't understand. And that's what I would like you to elaborate on. Thank you so much.
As we'll see from the court's determination, I believe we have the right to use State Line Road as it is right now.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Zach. Nope. Thank you.
But we believe that State Line Road should be improved for the sake of the people that live on it, for the sake of the people that will be using it. The traffic that we would have from this would be less than from the townhouse development that's already in front of the township. So from that standpoint, it's the same as it's been since we originally filed in 2022.
Can I have a follow-up from here, or do I have to go back up there?
Unfortunately, we
Okay.
apologize for your inconvenience.
Okay, that's okay.
Name and address, please.
I will be glad to.
Thank you.
Okay, Lynn Bike, 126 Trottersley Lane. I'm so sorry, but you didn't answer my question. So let me ask it in a different way. State Line Road technically is not wide enough for two SUVs to travel back and forth on it through its duration width-wise. So I'm wondering how two construction vehicles will be going in and out of State Line Road as is, which is what you said. And again, my concern for anybody here is that my property backs up to State Line Road. So please be a little bit more specific if you can.
The specificity will come once we have the attention of the people in Delaware for the approval of the improvements to the various roads that service this property. Our action right now, because of the lack of cooperation that we've been receiving in the state of Delaware, is to simply get a court to determine what our rights are. And I am absolutely convinced that our rights are that we can use those roads without improvements, and that we can, without approval of the people that live along it, improve them. And we expect the court to issue that order. And once we have that order, it will be a lot easier to create the specific improvements because we'll have the attention of the government down there as to what's the best way to make that the safest it can be. So I don't have specifics for you until I get the determination from the court of what my rights are.
My name is Jim Bracken. I'm at 3705 Pimlico Place in the Belmont community. And I have two questions, and maybe it's a misunderstanding on my part, but number one, you mentioned this is 41 townhomes,
No, singles.
single homes, but you also mentioned something about townhomes. Was that a previous plan or a future plan for
No,
that?
that's the current plan.
The current plan is,
Not, this is a settlement of the appeal of that plan. I'm trying to talk loudly so that I don't have to go back and
Can we
forth.
make sure,
okay.
can we make, excuse me 1 second, can we make sure Mike can hear people who aren't right at the mic?
I can hear. We're good.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So then it's not going to be townhomes, it's going to be single homes.
With this settlement, it would be 41 single-family homes.
The second question is on this map, you're showing the yellow circle says increased flooding area. And you mentioned about how much less flooding there would be.
Mhm.
Why is the increased flooding area so large?
I've never seen that plan.
Because this looks like, to me, that's extending the flooding area from this development. That's what I'd like you to address.
If somebody would give it to us so that we can look at it and analyze it, we'll provide answers to it. But I have no idea what this is or where it comes from, and I will give it to my engineer.
They passed it out earlier, so I have more copies of it here.
I passed it out. I'm going to speak about it during the comments.
I'd like that back if I could.
Or
Or you have another one?
Other, please.
Bethel, still on Bethel.
Yes.
My name is Steve Mancini. I'm also from the Bethel community, and I hate to talk with you behind me, but
You can turn.
And I can-
Sideways.
I did today.
And I think we need to address the address as well. Thanks.
half mile post south. Ingress, egress, you're John, right?
Yes.
The only way in and out of the proposed development is from 202, correct?
Yes.
Have, in the previous discussions, has the PennDOT issue about traffic devices at 202 and State Line Road been addressed? Oh, it's got to be Deldi?
It's a combination of both. We've had joint meeting with both. There's a proposed left-hand turn lane that is awaiting the formal application of it. There's been a pre-application meeting on it. From the standpoint of traffic signal, there won't be one, warrants won't be met.
And that's in consideration of Garnet Valley School District being able to utilize that, correct?
Yes,
So there'll be no control devices.
there would be no control devices because they would not meet the standards to permit one
Technically, by the law.
by the law. And
All right,
that's what they implement is their standards.
okay. Next thing about the road, what is your position on the width of the road? Because our township engineer just educated me. Because I live in the Belmont community, we have private roads, so they fall outside of, my understanding is the width of the roads in developments, if they're not private, have to be 27 feet wide. Do you concur with that?
Ours right now on that plan are 32 feet wide.
Okay. And a couple more questions. Have you met with the sewer authority yet? You're filing, I'm sorry to interrupt my own question. I have a habit of doing that. I'm Italian, so whatever. You filed under the Condo Act, correct?
Not yet.
No, that is your proposal to file under the Condo Act.
The ownership of the property will be under the Condo Act, yes. With respect to the sewer, we have an existing sewer exemption approval for the 46 townhomes. We will obviously update that to the 41 singles.
Would that be based on usage or flat fee the way rest of us currently pay?
You mean the payment of the fees to the township?
Yeah.
I've not researched that. I don't know which way they
Right.
would do it. I would assume they would do it the way they would normally do it if this was townhomes or single homes or whatever.
Okay. And my last issue that I had with the last development when it was Independence was, I didn't hear you mention anything about emergency access routes, and the print on your handout is quite small. Do you have where it's proposed to have the emergency road?
Yes, that goes out on the far southwest corner of the property out to Owensby.
So to my left.
Yes,
All right. So it's not the same as what it originally was.
that is the same.
All right. Is anybody's property traversed across that?
Only the property that has an easement for access already. It's lot number 1, I guess, in that subdivision.
In what, Chartwell?
No, it doesn't go through any Pennsylvania or Bethel Township properties.
The 10-foot wide easement.
But again, I want to press this because that in the original, that was my concern originally, is that the emergency access road went through our community, Belmont.
No, they asked us to study whether it would be feasible to take one out there.
Okay.
There was a long study that was done that we concluded it wasn't. We've agreed to provide an easement to our eastern property line in case the township ever is able to connect there. But there's no proposal. We don't own any property there. We can't take it through property we don't own. We have a 20-foot wide access easement through the green lot. The issue of whether that was usable to access a development of, at that time, I guess it was 49 townhouses, was litigated in Delaware, and it was affirmed that the right to use that 20-foot wide easement exists.
Okay, but again, just for me to end, no roadways, walkways, or anything else would go through Winterset Farms nor the Belmont community.
Correct.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Any other questions from the Bethel community? We'll now accept questions from other areas.
I'm Glenn Gilbert, 115 State Line Road. I'm one of the 2 houses that are in Pennsylvania. It's my understanding that the parts of State Line Road in front of our houses is private.
It's
And
dedicated to the public.
the one in, yeah, after you get past our house in Delaware, it is. So I was wondering when, if there's going to be some kind of impact to State Line Road, when we would be notified about that. Because technically my property line goes halfway onto State Line Road. And how is the sewer and water coming into the development?
The sewer and water is coming into the development through an existing easement that goes to Rotherfield.
Okay.
Say it again.
Rotherfield.
My next question is, did you come out of State Line Road this afternoon? To try to
No.
get here?
No,
I have pictures on my phone of the traffic backed up on 202. I sat there for 10 minutes waiting to come out of there. I don't know how not having a traffic light or anything there is going to help.
it would be
Help
great.
that or a turn.
It would be great to have a traffic light there. But you have to be able to meet the legal warrants to obtain a traffic light. The amount of traffic coming out of State Line Road does not meet the warrants, does not come
But the
close
amount
to
of traffic
meeting the
coming
warrants.
down 202.
But that's not the,
Everybody, I've been on State
that's not
Line.
the standard though.
I've lived there since 1961 and every house in there's been in an accident going across that road.
All I
At least
can,
one car in every
all I
house.
can tell you is if we put in a traffic light, we'd be thrilled to, but we can't. Because of the legal warrants that relate to the granting of approvals for traffic.
Okay, and then the next thing is the emergency access is on State Line Road and the entrance is on State Line Road. What if there's emergency on State Line Road? How does anybody get out of it?
Listen, you could go through what ifs from.
There's what
here
ifs.
till the day.
There's a lot of what
Yeah,
ifs.
yeah, I understand.
My main concern is what's going to happen with my property because I own half the street.
Okay,
That's a question I'd like to see answered or be at least be contacted on.
okay.
There's two houses on
Do you,
that street that are in
uh,
Pennsylvania, and that's from those houses weren't dedicated public when they paved the road. And that's when you were gained access to use the road because it was private until they paved it.
Well, I
So
can tell you that
technically,
the
those two houses-
OSB tract, which this is a part of, has been landlocked and accessed only through State Line Road for half a century at least. And so any right
With no
by,
houses on it.
any right by prescription, it doesn't make any difference whether a house is on it, it's access to that property. Any right by prescription would also exist.
Mhm.
So, we have your address from tonight. We'll be happy to get in touch with you and, continue the discussion on your
Okay.
particular question.
All right, thank you.
You leave your phone number? What's that? You need a phone number?
You want, it is,
You don't have to
302.
give it to the entire meeting.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
And while that's wrapping up, any other comments, please? I'm sorry, questions. This is a question.
Lou Pagnoni, 3814 Rutherfield. So I live right next to the drainage. All that, where you're piping all the pipelining, I guess, I believe. How long is that type of construction going to be and how much will? So I live right, I'm gonna walk up there and point to it out. Sure. I'm assuming this is it right here. Right where all this drainage, there's some, right?
Yeah, you now need to come back. You now need to come back. So Commissioner Davies, here.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So the construction through the existing easement would not be very substantial or very long. You're maybe 2 weeks putting in the pipes and conduit, and then we're onto our property and away from you.
Okay, and when you mentioned before about we have a opportunity for you guys to plant a bunch of trees. Would that be on my property?
We would
Or,
either
you know,
put-
it's how that wetland is back there. It's kind of
Yeah.
a huge open area. And there looks like there's gonna be a house kind of near there, kind of not. I can't really tell.
Well, if if you
I
take,
just don't want to see the house and people.
if
walking
you
around.
take the look of the darker green area, shaded areas, those are the riparian buffers. And the lighter green that's surrounded by them is the wetland or stream channel. So from the standpoint of where that house is, it's in neither. But
Yeah, it's more or less like if my house is here, it's kind of over there a little bit, but I'm just more concerned about the amount of, I guess, piping that's going to be done into like, are you gonna rip up my area at all or?
no, we're going to be within that easement. We have to work within that easement.
Okay. Oh, that's it. Well, thank you.
Any other questions at this time? Please.
My name is Ernie Loudon, 130 State Line Road. My question is, you mentioned improving the roadway. I'm wondering how you're looking at it as an improvement, because to me, it's a total degrading of our roadway. And I encourage anybody in the decision-making process here to just drive down State Line Road and try to get on and off of it and see how hectic it is and how dangerous it is. Somebody mentioned previously that every household has been in an accident, and you're proposing a school bus stop in your community, which is completely unrealistic because we're going to be putting a lot of kids at risk there. And I'm wondering how you plan to get these kids in and out of the street safely by the busload, especially in the morning. It takes me 10 minutes just to turn off the street onto 202. So mainly wondering on how you think this is an improvement to the road and the community, and how you think that you're going to be able to do that.
We're talking about improving the width of state line, not whatever we can do to the intersection with 202, which really amounts to simply a left-hand turn lane from southbound 202. Because as you've heard me say at least a half a dozen times, traffic signal is not approvable at that location. If it was, I mean, we've inquired and been told more than once that it doesn't come close to warrants.
So if that
So if
doesn't,
it doesn't come close to warrants, that's, we can't do more. Now, you could, the law in Pennsylvania actually puts the improvement of everything other than the frontage of a developer's property on the municipality. We've agreed, our predecessor agreed with the municipality here to widen roads off-site. But a developer legally, otherwise, other than that contractual agreement, doesn't have that obligation. So when you ask me, how does that problem get solved? The normal answer, any other place would be, you shouldn't be asking me, you should be asking the municipality what they can do to do it. Because I have a right to use my property as its own. Right, so the questions that you're raising, we're actually doing more than the normal developer would do with respect to them. But road improvements and safety improvements like that are really not by law on the developer.
well, if that's not improvable, I don't see how this could be approvable, because there's just no safe way to do it. And you're saying that you can use your land, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how you phrased it, but in order to widen the road, you're going to be widening into my front yard, and my property does go out to the road. You're going to be cutting down my row of trees and putting the telephone poles in my front yard, moving all these wires. And back to his drainage questions, a 2-week job for drainage. I work in landscape construction. We do
It's not
drainage.
drainage. It's,
No, I know, but
I
I'm
wasn't
just
talking to him
touching.
about drainage. I was talking to him about laying utility lines.
Well, someone else in the crowd here was worried about his house being impacted by a drainage field. And you mentioned that it would take about 2 weeks to complete that construction.
No, that was not the discussion.
I just heard you guys say
The
that.
discussion was, how long will we be constructing
Right.
in the easement in Rotherfield? It's an easement for the utility lines. It will take us that long to bury the utility lines. That's all.
Oh, I think he was referring to drainage. So my question then is how long is that drainage project going to take back there and the project overall do you anticipate?
On our property,
Well, you're going to be on my property as well if you're widening the road.
you're gonna have to ask me a more specific question.
How long is it going to take, do you anticipate?
Define it. What is it that you want me to define? Is it
The
total
construction
time of the
project as a whole,
project?
the project as a whole, we'll say.
The project as a whole will probably take a couple of years.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, so, all right. Thank you.
So with the townhouse project.
Can I just jump in for 1 second? And I know that our solicitor, recommended no comments by the board, and like a typical client, I'm going to do the opposite, but just only because the previous speaker brought this up, and in case any additional speakers comment about this, I just want everyone to realize that issues involving the school buses, the locations of stops, whether those buses are deemed or the stops are deemed to be safe, quote unquote, or unsafe, is outside of this board's jurisdiction. Those are issues that are decided by the Garnet Valley School District Transportation Company and the school board. We have no say in that. So if there's any issues or concerns about the safety of the school buses traversing 202 and getting to and from, whether it's this development or any other development in the township, those are issues that need to be addressed by and dealt with and you know, spoken to by the school board and the transportation. This board has no say in that whatsoever. So that's all.
Hi, I'm Patrick Kea. I live with Ernie at 130 State Line Road. You said both sides are going to benefit from that. How does both parties?
Both parties.
How does State Line Road benefit from that?
State Line Road's not a party. I'm talking about Bethel Township. No, wait, hold on a second, please. I'm talking about the question of whether a settlement of this is better for the township than the continued pursuit of the townhouse plan that's in front of the court. That's the better or worse. This is fewer units. This is more green. Both of them are going to use the same road network. Both of them are going to require the same improvements. So that's not a comparative issue in the question of which is better, the settlement of the case or the non-settlement of the case.
So State Line Road residents aren't a party per se, what you're saying?
They're not a part of the settlement. As I've explained, we are in court obtaining a determination of our rights with respect to State Line Road.
Yeah.
And Owensby and East Fulton and our right to access through Lot 3. The courts will decide that. That won't be decided by the Bethel Township Board of Supervisors. That's not their jurisdiction. That's why that issue is in Delaware and is there.
All right, so what I'm just saying, this is more of a money grab than like a safety issue. You guys could care less about the safety issue of the going out of State Line Road onto 202 and just worrying more about the money and building your homes. So, I mean,
That would be your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of common sense, heartless, but all right.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Please.
I'm a State Line Road resident. And I have.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've just been bringing in a bunch of.
Name and address.
Lisa Graybill, 102 Husbands Drive, private road, State Line Road. According to the Department of Land Use Exploratory Plan, this is dated March 1st, 2024. Section 2, under planning, it says State Line Road, Owensby Drive, and East Fulton Road have not been dedicated to public use through the statutory dedication, as there is no approved record plan depicting the dedication of these roads. These are private roads. These are private properties. Yes, the owner of this landlocked piece of parcel in Bethel Township has, the right of way that goes across private property to access that land, but that land was a farm back in the day. And it's not his fault that, or the person that bought that property thinking that they could develop it, that not knowing that in Delaware, we still have private roads. There is no municipality, we don't have snow removal. We don't have anybody to come out and fix our potholes. And if State Line Road, and I'm not asking for this, God knows I'm not asking to them. If it's not brought up to DelDOT standards with the amount of bed that's laid and how wide it is, it will never be a Delaware road. It is going to be a private road and will always be a private road because those of us that live back there want it to stay that way. And there's been, I have from 2011 where DelDOT denied the approval for a light from the last time this was brought to attention because they said it was too dangerous, not because they said that there was not enough use or anything like that. It has something to do with the fact that coming up 202 is a hill, going down from State Line Road is a hill, and it's very dangerous for viewing if you're going to have a light anywhere around it. There's plenty of accidents on 202 in Pennsylvania where you see where they put a light just over a hill. People don't have enough time to stop. That's why they didn't put a light there. There's so many Delaware decisions against this. And I feel this parcel has been landlocked. It's been there for 100 years. It was part of an old farm. And I'm sorry, but you cannot develop it to your extent. And you cannot tell people that our private roads are anything other than private. Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Otherwise, let's move into any public comment from Bethel Township residents.
You can sit and just get up and do that. Whatever's easier.
Hurts to get up.
I want to ask a question, I'm sorry. Hi, do I need to give you my name and address again?
Please.
Okay. For the third time this evening, it's Lynn Bike, 126 Trottersley Lane. How many stories are these townhomes? I don't recall that you mentioned it in your presentation. Thank you very much.
They're not townhomes. The townhomes were 2-story. I believe these are 2-story as well.
Okay, we'll have to come back and ask the follow-up. Can you be more specific and could you let our Bethel Township supervisors, could you confirm that if it's 2 or 3? That would be helpful.
Well, you have a height limitation in your building code. And so I believe it's 35 feet. It usually is, but that's 35 feet. I don't believe, I've never heard of any desire to have 3-story on this property. So I'm telling you what I know. I mean, the homes aren't finalized on here. We don't have a plan approval yet.
Jacob Price, 3741 Mayfield Lane. Is it okay if I speak for 5 minutes roughly? Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm going to cut. I am an environmental engineer by training, but not by trade. I perform research. I'm a research professor at Temple University. I got my master's in environmental engineering from Temple University as well. There, I also received a certificate, professional certificate in stormwater management. I got my PhD from Drexel University. I worked at the University of Wisconsin, Stroud Water Research Center out in Avondale, if you guys are aware. Went back to Drexel and then back to Temple. I love this place. I love this area. I am not a PE, but I have dedicated the entirety of my professional life to improving our understanding and the function of our freshwater environment, particularly here on the East Coast and in southeastern Pennsylvania. I'm the nut job that handed out those maps. Those blue lines, this is the satellite imagery and the blue lines that you're seeing on those maps are from the United States Geological Survey. Those blue lines are perennial streams. So the argument that those streams are not perennial is false as far as the United States Geological Survey is concerned, which does not, which implies that any removal of protection for the watershed, for the wetlands that exist on the property is null and void, at least in my opinion. I'm not a lawyer. The red polygon that you see there is approximately the site of the development. It borders to the south on State Line Road, and the northwestern border backs up on the Rutherford Loop.
Could you move the microphone closer?
I apologize. I am a resident of Chartwell, the neighborhood, the development that the Rotherfield Loop is a part of. And I, over the course of the past year and a half, I've had the good fortune to meet about 80 households from the development. There's just over 160. And with some other individuals that are interested in the development here that's being proposed and discussed. I have not encountered a single Chartwell resident that is in favor of this development. The stream that is double bordered goes through the Rotherfield Loop, as you can see, and it joins another stream, perennial stream, through the northwestern part of our development. I apologize. I was not able to get permission to present a more detailed map of this. Essentially, what's happening is, as this stream goes into Chartwell and it enters the Rotherfield Loop, there's undercutting at the road where that stream goes underneath Rotherfield Loop for the first time. There are potholes in the road surfaces. There's potholes and sinkholes in the soil bordering the sidewalks. All of the neighbors that are in that loop already have existing water issues in their basement. They have pools of water after rain events that are currently existing in their yards, and it takes days for drainage to occur. Anything that increases the amount of runoff that goes through that stream is going to be deleterious on the drainage and the water situation in the Rotherfield Loop. The previous plan, the one previous to this, also claimed to reduce the amount of runoff. The current plan says over 60% is going to reduce runoff. I have contacted people in my professional circle to look at those plans, not at the most recent ones, because this has been done behind closed doors, which I strongly disagree with. All public discussion should be public. But going off of what the previous plan was, or the plan that's currently being litigated, they suggested there was going to be a great reduction as well. And pretty much, I can tell you the way that the regulations are being calculated right now is they're playing games, and I'm going to give you guys a single example. Their planning, the original plan was to plant 358 trees. Okay, for every tree that you plant on a development, you get a credit for the amount of runoff that's coming off of your property. 358 trees are going at, it is way too high of a density. They're going to rub against each other. They're going to shade themselves, self-shading. Half of them are going to die in 5 years. So any benefit that is going to be given by these trees as they grow is going to disappear. Add in disease, pestilence, climate change, anything else, it's going to be an issue. Those wetlands are going to be modified, regardless of how this is, I will say, a much better plan than what was being originally proposed earlier this summer. But any sort of modification to wetlands is going to change the
The same
hydrological.
issue the other night. So, Bill, I don't know if you can look into that for me. And the people that are also watching on Zoom. Thank you.
Sorry, Jeff.
I apologize for the interruption.
Maybe it's happened, yeah, Can you ask the supervisor if you can hear it?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you. Sorry.
I apologize.
No, don't worry about it. Keep going.
Any sort of modification in and around of wetlands impacts them. They're very, very delicate. This plan, the plan that is being discussed right now, the plan that is being litigated, it may follow regulatory requirements, but the results will not match the claims. This is not me condemning or accusing the developer specifically. There is 0 BMPs that are being placed in anywhere in the country that perform exactly the way that they're supposed to. And over time, the functionality of those BMPs degrade. I will also mention that the stormwater regulations in Pennsylvania have not been updated for several decades. They have been in discussion and negotiations, and the current ones that are being discussed right now have been in draft form for 15 or 16 years. So when you say, well, we projected a 5-year storm or a 10-year storm or a 100-year storm, that's great. But the newest regulations are suggesting the 250 to 500 and 1,000-year storm. So it means that you have to be even more conservative when you develop BMPs, the stormwater management systems that they're doing here. Okay. Lastly, I'm going to say something that's maybe a little bit unpopular with given the context. I know it's not likely feasible to stop development on this property. I believe in capitalism. I believe in profit seeking. I think that there are limits when it comes to that, though, when it comes to impacting the social and the economic and the property values of the surrounding community. Instead of townhomes, instead of smaller single-family condos or bungalows, I think that a much more reasonable solution would be building single-family homes, 12, 14 of them, on large lots, which would generate a massive amount of revenue, maybe not as much as this would, but it would still be great. You would not have, the developers would not have to clear cut every single tree that's 100 years old off this property. They would be able to leave those in place. And because you can be more selective with where you put the footprint of the house, you can be much more delicate in the way of avoiding and protecting the streams that are existing in the wetlands that currently exist on the property. I've gone over my time. I apologize. Thank you.
Any other comment?
I am Martin Champagne.
I live at 3836 Rutherford Lane, and I've been living there for 33 years. And going back to what Dr. Price said, I have flooded over 10 times. We actually, when it rains 2 or 3 inches, I have a stream going right through my backyard into the driveway onto the street. I've watched all the basements probably 5 times, just totally flooded because of the runoff. And people don't realize, and he didn't bring it up, but there's a 60-foot drop from Delaware right into Rutherford Circle. And you should probably know that because you live here, right?
Used to.
Yeah. And
That's my roots are from here. Yeah.
right. And I know people have four-wheeled in the water. It's been a flooded condition from day one, right? And and so the impervious area that you're going to lose is going to be worse. I'm wondering how you're going to retain that water. It's going to be worse than it is now. And I mean, he brought up all the good points that's true, and I think it has to be addressed. The other thing is about, so you talk about, people don't realize in the back, I'm at 38, 36, it's a 15-foot height. The 35-foot height buildings will be 50 feet up in the air, overlooking us. They put a light on, it's going right in. The other thing is when there's a truck back there, it's a ridge. It's like the Hollywood Bowl. The noise comes through one truck. It is so loud right where we live. It's ridiculous. If you have 400 cars probably coming by every day through the development, probably 120 cars per going in and out, plus all the deliveries. That's massive. And I'm not sure how it's going to go on Delaware State Line Road in and out. Don't know. So just want to make sure everybody understands the design issues. It's already a problem for people on Rutherford Lane. We've been dealing with it. Luckily, we've been having droughts recently, but also there's been over 500-year events, rain events in America. Mania, just recently, right? And you have to realize it should be designed for 500-year, well, 1,000, not 100. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there any other comment from the public? Please.
Full or not?
Either at this point.
I'll go. My name is David Perino and my address is 204 State Line Road. Prior to living there, I spent 30 years in Trotters Lee. Many of you know me by face. Some of you do not, as you are newly elected members. And to that, I say welcome. Hope it's all you've expected it to be. A lot of the points I wish to bring up have been covered by other people already. However, that doesn't dismiss the impact they should have. And as part of a coalition of communities, homeowners, and residents of the Bethel Township area, there is not one person here, aside from the 3 that are supporting this, who offered a profit off of it, that are in agreement with this property being developed this way. We have been doing this, not you, but us, as residents of this area, both when I lived in Bethel Township and now literally right across the street, for over 20 years. This thing has been stopped time and time and time again. Do any of you know why? You're not allowed to answer. Rhetorical question. Because it's a bad idea. It's a lousy idea for everyone who lives in the area. But it is a really good idea for a couple people in the room. Raise your hand if you live in Bethel Township or very close to it. None of you live in Bethel Township or close to it? Raise your hand if you don't live in Bethel Township or close to it. Okay. There are increased traffic concerns, not only for the school districts, but for EMS, ambulance, etc. The noise and pollution disturbances covered again. The environmental impacts are disastrous from this plan. There's no way this plan with that many properties on that piece of land can get done. It will be a huge negative for the entire community in the area. The flooding, Dr. Price mentioned, as well as Mr. Champagne, another engineer, by the way. The strain on the public infrastructure, we don't need it. I think we can all agree to that. The property value impacts, I think we've covered that also. I don't speak for everyone, but as part of the coalition of two different groups from both sides of that state line, I'm going to echo what Dr. Price said. I understand capitalism. I'm a capitalist. I was a salesman for 30 years. I get it. You bought this piece of land. You got a discount on it. You know why? Because it was landlocked. Why was it landlocked? Because there were bad decisions made about building properties all around it. None of you were here then, save one, maybe. Why does the entire township that you represent and the surrounding community need to be penalized because of prior poor decision-making? These are things you people need to take into account. We're real people. We live here every day. A lot of you aren't going to deal with the problems that this creates. We will every single day. Our wives, our children, our families, my grandchildren, which come to visit often. This plan is very carefully designed. If you look at that state line, there's not one property being built on this side of the state line. The only reason they bought that piece of property was to try to shoehorn access through some legalese to get into this. I can't stop this from getting done. For the most part, you guys aren't even going to remember I existed in about a day if I last that long. But I'll put this to you. If you're going to approve that design, this plan, this program, I don't really care, frankly, at this point, if it's 60 townhomes or 41. I'm not sure what these are because that got very fuzzy when specifics were asked. You figure out how to give them access through PA. You guys figure that out. That's on you. And if you can't, then you can't approve this. You can't approve this plan by destroying the lives, the neighborhood, the community that surrounds it. That's completely unfair. The Board of Supervisors, from your own website, your job. The Board of Supervisors is charged with the general governance of the township and the execution of legislative, executive, and administrative powers in order to ensure the sound fiscal management and the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of this township. Approving that is a violation of your oath.
Is there any other comment? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.